Hello, Jonas. My name is Jason. I'm with the academic team here at IELTS Advantage, and I'm here today to give you your video feedback. Before we get started, I'd just like to draw your attention to this video feedback analysis form. This is going to be at the top of the PDF that I will be sending you with your video correction. If you have a printer at home, you could pause this video really quickly and print out the PDF, and then you could use this form to take some notes on your key mistakes and note your scores, and this would eliminate the need to come back and watch the video several times. If you don't have a printer at home, you could simply take out a piece of paper and take a few notes, because I do have some suggestions for you that I think will help. So let's go ahead and get started here. You have responded to question 12, task 2 today. It says, today people are traveling more than ever before. Why is this the case? What are the benefits of traveling for the traveler? So you've done a good job of analyzing this topic, and you have responded with the correct structure. This is a double question. And we're going to just go through this really quickly and look at task response. We'll also be looking at the grammar and vocab as we go through your essay, and then I'll give you your scores. But let's take a look here at what you've done in terms of task response first, and then also a few errors. Here you've begun by saying world has become much smaller than it was before. Here you needed the definite article the world, okay? Here you wrote, people are traveling all around the world because they can afford it, and they are becoming more open-minded due to travel. Okay. So here you want to frame this as the reason, and you want to frame this as the advantage. And you don't need due to the travel or due to travel here at the end, because you've already stated it before, and you don't want to be repeating yourself or become redundant. So to improve this sentence, we would just add the reason people are traveling all around the world, and you need a verb here then, is because they can afford it. And then you need a comma here because this is an independent clause. So afford it, comma, and then the advantage of this is they are becoming more open-minded. And you can end the sentence there. You don't need due to travel. So you have done a good job here of paraphrasing the topic. You have outlined two main ideas. You could have just outlined them a little bit more clearly in your introduction with the addition of this language. The highlighted sentence here is unnecessary. You've said this essay will address both issues with relevant arguments and examples from the UK government and recent Manchester study. It should be and a recent Manchester study. But here, you don't need this information in your introduction. You can just omit this in the future. Okay, so just avoid doing that again. Now your first body paragraph. Firstly, travel is not longer a luxury. The correct choice here is no longer luxury, okay? So that's a vocab mistake. And again, a couple of little grammar mistakes here, missing a verb, a comma, etc. This is because most people can afford to pay a plane ticket. You know, you need that preposition, pay for a plane ticket, so that's a grammar error. To a exotic destination, and here you need an exotic destination because this is preceding or coming just before a vowel sound. Exotic, an exotic destination due to cheap offers from the large multinational air companies like Ryanair. Now, a few things here. You don't need this definite article here because you're just talking about these companies in general. So from large multinational. And here, the better choice here would be airlines. We don't really say air companies, so it's not a common collocation. This would be considered a vocab error, grammar, vocab, and grammar, okay? Also, you need to be careful with your spelling here. That's a vocab error. It's Ryanair, R-Y-A-N-A-I-R. Even if a plane ticket is a more expensive one, still there are installment payments or checks that one can use. Now, I'm not considering this technically an error, but a better choice would be to put still here. There are still installment payments or checks that one can use. For example, a study conducted by the UK government showed that in the last 10 years, comma, you need a comma there because this is an independent clause. 50% more travelers are buying plane tickets with installment payments. Usually we would use the preposition in, so that's a minor grammar error there. And of course, punctuation would be grammar here. This proves that there is more traveling nowadays. Now you've got a spelling error there, so that's vocab, because of the different payment options as well as reduced ticket prices. And you don't need that indefinite article there. This is plural, so you don't need the article. Okay, good job. That's a well-developed idea. Now, second body paragraph. Secondly, traveling is a unique experience and offers to the travelers a chance to familiarize with the other cultures. Okay. Now, a couple of things here. You don't need to the. You don't need the preposition. You can just say offers object. So here it's offers travelers. You don't need the because you're not talking about a specific group of travelers that you've already mentioned. Rather, you're just talking about travelers in general. Here you need an object, a chance to familiarize themselves. Now, some verbs almost always take objects. Familiarize is one of them. Okay, so you familiarize yourself with a new process, for example. Here you don't need the with other cultures in general, not the specific other cultures which you've already mentioned, because you haven't. But here what you needed to do is state your main idea very clearly in this topic sentence. So your main idea from your introduction is open-minded. Okay, they become more open-minded, so state it here. This is due to fact. You need the definite article the, that most of the people, now here again, you just say most people. We're not talking about a specific group of people, so just most people that never had the opportunity. Here, verb tense, little grammar issue. It should be have never had, so past perfect, have never had the opportunity to travel. And here you had used past tense, became, and it should be just simple present. Become very narrow-minded with a lot of prejudices. And you need the indefinite article here, with a lot of prejudices towards different customs. For instance, a recent Manchester study illustrated that 60% of people that had never crossed its country borders. Now this is a little confusing, and this would be better expressed and more clearly expressed by just saying that had never traveled abroad, showed some signs of bigotry. Therefore, and you need a comma after therefore as it's an introductory word or phrase, therefore, travelers often become more open-minded people, and really you do need a comma right here, which I will insert now. And that is the greatest, and a spelling error here, you need that T, benefit that travel can offer. Okay, now I consider this a fairly well developed idea, but you'll note here that your explanation and example are focused on the opposite of your main idea. They're explaining why people who don't travel are closed-minded. But what you really want to focus on when you're developing your main ideas in your body paragraphs is developing your actual main idea. So here, your example and your explanation and example would have been more effective if they had clearly demonstrated how people get exposure to different cultures and become more open-minded by travel. So while you've done a fairly decent job here, you could have done much better if you had just focused on developing your main idea rather than proving the opposite of your main idea. Okay? So in the future, just follow your main idea and develop it, not the opposite. You finish here with to conclude, I think nowadays. You forgot the A in nowadays, so the small spelling error there. People are seeing more of the world than ever before because it is possible to apply different types of payments and tickets are cheaper. And you forgot it's different types of plural noun, plural countable noun. So payments and tickets are cheaper. Here you said it greatest benefit. Better choice here would be the greatest benefit among many, I've changed to of this to make this clear, is that travelers are becoming more aware of, and you wrote, the cultural differences. Now, we're not talking about specific cultural differences that you've already mentioned, so you can just drop the, you don't need it. So, more aware of cultural differences, and you wrote, learn how to accept them. But here, you're not summarizing your second main idea, okay? And again, the main ideas that appear here in your introduction, I need to see them again in your conclusion. So I've inserted it here for you, but without becoming more open-minded, your conclusion would not be as effective. So in the future, remember, your main ideas need to be in your introduction. One of them should be in your first body paragraph. The second of them should be developed in your second body paragraph, and both of them need to be summarized in your conclusion. Okay? Today you're going to get a band score of 7 for task response. The reason you're not getting an 8 is because this second main idea here, you basically proved the opposite of your main idea in trying to develop it. So it's just not as effective as it could have been, as I explained earlier. And I consider that a relatively medium band 7 score because that's a significant issue. Now, in terms of grammar, you're a medium 6 today, and the reason for that is you've made mistakes in more than 50% of your sentences. You've made a range of mistakes today. They're not just one type of mistake. So the mistakes you've made were mostly in regards to articles, prepositions, verb tenses, and a little bit of punctuation. Not a lot, but a little. But you have made mistakes in more than 50% of your sentences, and when you do that, it does impact your grammar score, and it limits you to a band 6. So that's what you get today. Vocabulary is also a 6. I think it's a high 6 though, because you've actually demonstrated that you can use quite a nice range of vocabulary. You've just made too many small spelling errors, and in just over 50% of your sentences. These errors were in regards to spelling and some slightly inappropriate word choices that we talked about as we went through the essay there. Now, coherence and cohesion. I really like the way you have organized everything here, and you do use cohesive devices quite well, and that's very good. And this score will improve really quickly when you improve your grammar and vocabulary. But today it's a band 6, and it's a medium band 6 because there were significant errors in grammar and vocabulary that made your writing a little bit more difficult to read than it should have been. You need to improve vocab and grammar, and as you do so, you will see this coherence and cohesion score increase. So what that means is you get a band 6.5 overall today. And your focus going forward needs to be threefold. Number one, grammar. Especially take a look at articles, prepositions, and verb tenses, and be careful with proofreading and punctuation. Also, number two, vocabulary. You do need to be careful with spelling and try to make sure you're only using vocabulary that you're 100% sure about, so you can avoid a few errors. You're quite close to a 7 in vocab, so you don't need to change too much. Just be careful. In terms of your task response, make sure your all of your explanations and examples are fully relevant to your main idea, not the opposite of your main idea. Okay? So you've stated that you need a band 7, and you did not write this under exam conditions. So 2 pieces of advice quickly. Number 1, don't book your test yet. You're not quite ready. You're getting closer for sure, but just not quite there yet. And number 2, I think it's okay for you to continue to take your time in writing Task 2 essays. I want you to focus on quality, not on speed. And then once you have achieved a band 7 once or twice in Task 2, then you should consider starting to write under exam conditions to see if you can maintain your scores. Down here below, you'll see your VIP resources. Just click there to download the catalog. Only focus on the resources that will help you with the issues that we've already discussed. And here at the end, you will see your sample answer, which you can compare to yours. Note that the examples and explanations in the body paragraphs fully relate to the actual main ideas from the topic sentences. Okay? So again, Jonas, thanks for sending in your submission. Have a great day, and I look forward to seeing more work from you in the near future. Bye-bye.